You may think you know what big movies are coming out this summer, but you don't know until you pick up the Entertainment Weekly Summer Movie Preview. We are joined by Jeff Labrecque from EW. And Jeff, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure.
Let's talk about the big summer movies. The season's already underway with Captain America. And, of course, coming up just a week from Thursday, we'll have X-Men Apocalypse, the next big one. Now, of course, everybody's already talked Captain America to death, so let's get to X-Men. What did you guys find out about X-Men Apocalypse that you want to pass along?
Well, this is a franchise that's been around now, I think, for 15 or 16 years, and I think if the studio gets their way, it'll go on for another 15 or 16 years. But in a lot of ways, Apocalypse is the conclusion of an arc that started, I guess, in 1999. These are characters that we've gotten to know. We're talking about Professor X and Magneto, and it's a secret that there is even going to be a cameo of Wolverine, and this is kind of the culmination of this universe that director Bryan Singer has been building for over a decade. So I think for fans of the franchise, this is this is going to be a big payoff.
What is the buzz there? I mean, I've been hearing kind of mixed reviews so far.
Yeah, well, it's always it's always tough. I've heard mixed things as well. I think this is a film that, like a lot of superhero films that has a lot of superhero characters in it, they stuff a lot in there. And I don't think anyone's ever gone into a 2+ hour superhero movie with all these characters and said, boy, they really nailed it. There's always just too much going on. I think it all depends on your expectations and just how much you love these characters. I've read the same things you have, and I feel like maybe this particular film has a lot going on. Perhaps that's the best way to say it.
We are talking summer movies with Entertainment Weekly's Jeff Labrecque. Their summer movie preview is on store shelves now, and it's already on my coffee table. We'll continue this conversation after this. Mid-Morning in the City is presented by Curves Davenport on Rewind 93.9.
You're listening to Mid-Morning in the Cities on Rewind 93.9 WYEC.
We're talking with Entertainment Weekly's Jeff Labrecque. Their summer movie preview is out now, and we're talking about the big summer movies. We just talked about X-Men Apocalypse. I want to get to your hidden gems of the summer, but first, obviously, one of the other big movies that people are talking about, and I mean really talking about, is the Ghostbusters reboot. All the controversy that surrounded this trailer, Jeff. I mean, is this the most talked about movie of the summer?
I think it's definitely the most anticipated, and like you talked about just how buzzed it is. I mean, this is a film that, in an ideal world, there would have been a Ghostbusters movie 10 or 15 years ago, but for a lot of different reasons, but I think notably the fact that Bill Murray, I guess, really never wanted to go back to this. This is a film that just never got made, and, like the way that it finally did get made was that a director named Paul Feig decided, I'll do it, but I want to do it my way, and I want to bring in, really funny ladies and kind of reinvent the wheel a little bit with a whole different world. And, I think that's awesome, but the flip side of that is, there are people who love the original films, who love Peter Venkman, who love Ray Stantz, and they love Egon, and they're like, well, what is this? Why do I want to go see Ghostbusters without the Ghostbusters? So it's going to be an interesting thing to see, because I think if they stick the landing, you're talking about the summer's biggest movie, right? But if it's like somewhat, B+, I think a lot of people, might kind of turn up their nose at it. So it'll be interesting to see how audiences react.
The 4th of July weekend, Jeff, always a big one. What do we got coming up over that 4th of July weekend?
Well, there's several big films, but one that's really, really funny, on July 4th, actually, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong weekend, but on July 4th, the big one is the BFG, which is the Steven Spielberg film that's based on the Roald Dahl kids book. Spielberg has this amazing record of working with kids on film, going all the way back to E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and he actually produced The Goonies and Hook. So, I mean, this is something that's kind of like right in his sweet spot, and it's kind of CG heavy in terms of the giant, who's played by Mark Rylance, who just won an Oscar on Spielberg's last film, and the girl who plays the star, her name is Ruby Barnhill, and I think people are really, really gonna love her performance in this film. It's a big family film, but it comes out July 1st and kind of rolls into July 4th weekend, and I think that's a movie that, like, no pun intended, could be extremely big.
Entertainment Weekly's summer movie preview is on store shelves now and likely in the mailbox of many listening to this. And Jeff Labrecque from Entertainment Weekly is our guest today on Mid-Morning in the Cities, the summer movie preview. We'll continue this conversation and wrap things up next. Mid-Morning in the Cities presented by Curves Davenport on Rewind 93.9.
The 50s and 60s Cafe, weekdays from noon until 1 on your Quad City's greatest hit station. Rewind 93.9 WYEC. You're listening to Mid-Morning in the Cities on Rewind 93.9 WYEC.
We're talking with Jeff Labrecque from Entertainment Weekly. Their summer movie preview is out now. And Jeff, what are the hidden gems of the summer?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's always the franchises, but it's always like such a great joy when a film actually breaks out in the summer that, perhaps doesn't have $100 million budget or, a big star in it. And, one of the ones that I think is really going to break out is Me Before You, which is based on a best-selling novel, but it's a romance based on the book that was written by Jojo Moyes. And it stars Emilia Clarke, who people know from Game of Thrones, and Sam Claflin, who people saw in the Hunger Games. And it's kind of a weepy, and it's about a guy who is stuck to a wheelchair after a really horrible back accident, and basically the caretaker who comes into his life, and she's a little off the wall and opposite the track, and I think people are going to be taking all their dates to that film in June. And the other one, which is also a date movie, which is a small film that played at Sundance, but I think is really interesting. It's called South Side with You, and basically it's about the first date between a young Barack Obama and a young Michelle Robinson, and it's kind of a day in the life that I think could really, obviously not compete with the blockbusters, but people who see it, I think really might enjoy it.
I've heard about that one. I've heard nothing but good things so far, and I really do hope they give that one a good release. Well, Jeff, thank you so much. Of course, the Entertainment Weekly Summer Movie Preview is on store shelves now, and of course, it's going to be on my coffee table as well.
Well, thanks for having me.
If you missed any part of this summer movie preview with Entertainment Weekly's Jeff Labrecque, you can catch it online in a few moments on our Mid-Morning in the Cities podcast at QuadCityDailyNews.com. QuadCityDailyNews.com is powered by local radio. Don't forget the Mid-Morning in the Movies with myself and Linda Cook. This weekend, we'll talk the movies The Nice Guys and Neighbors 2, Friday, here on Mid-Morning in the Cities. Quad City Times film critic Linda Cook and myself for Mid-Morning at the Movies. Rewind 93.9 WYEC. Once again, Mid-Morning in the City is presented by our friends at Curves Davenport.
The 50s and 60s Cafe, weekdays from noon until 1 on your Quad City's greatest hit station. Rewind 93.9 WYEC.